Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlaw, and Riley Finch. Riley, we're coming off the back of a very positive week from West Ham. Decent result in the Conference League. That gets us into the group stages, which is obviously a big plus. But it's time we take that into our league form now. We've got to carry that over and actually start getting some points on the board. Is this fair to say that Villa's now, this is a must-win?
Oh, yeah, Villa's definitely a must-win, mate. I mean, I know I got a lot of sort of criticism last week for saying that Brighton would convincingly beat us. I was right.
You've taken, how long does that take? 30 seconds to rub that straight in my face. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got to be done, mate. It's got to be done. I mean, I said what 2-1, and I think it was 2-0. So we couldn't even score. I mean, that's the worst part. But it was a totally abject performance on Sunday, and we've really got to bounce back against Villa. Villa aren't exactly in a very good form either. So we should be beating this team, and I do actually expect a lot of the newbies to start now. I think Moyes is kind of he knows he has to make a change. He knows he has to start putting some of the players that he's brought into the squad. Otherwise, we're just going to be in big trouble. So I think we will bounce back, but it is totally a must-win game. Like there's no doubt about it.
I agree. I mean, I think you're right. Looking back at the performance against Brighton, there is something slightly quite concerning about West Ham at the moment in terms of our form. I mean, we obviously played well in the week, which was great, and got a very good performance. But let's be realistic: the opponent weren't wonderful. I mean, we were just far too much quality, I think, all around the pitch for them to deal with. But that's nothing to take it away from it. We did play well, but yeah, the Brighton game was concerning. I thought we were really flat and didn't really do a lot. I mean, I thought the first opening 10 minutes we looked pretty good, but or maybe longer, maybe 20 minutes we were pretty decent. But apart from that, we were pretty poor overall, and just undone by a far more well-organised, well-drilled side. I think you're right as well with the new signings. I don't quite understand Moyes' thinking on this. I know he's got his ways and he likes to sort of stick to his methods. But you're right. It's about time now they started introducing. We need some fresh blood out there. We need some fresh faces and to lift the crowd and to get everybody behind it. I think I'll be really disappointed if Scamacca doesn't start, I've got to say.
It does seem like just a bit of a flat excuse, though, because like Tilo came in straight away against Brighton. And I actually thought he played quite well until, obviously, the penalty. So the fact that he's kind of chucked him straight in when Ogbonna was kind of still available and we still had Zuma, and obviously Johnson still could have played centre back. Why is Tilo prepared for the Premier League, but Scamacca isn't, and Cornet, who's played in the Premier League for a year, isn't prepared for the Premier League? Like,
I agree.
Like a bit of an excuse.
It does. It is. You kind of like. It kind of counter-argues what he does, doesn't he, Moyes? He's coming out and saying, these team players need time to bed in. It needs a lot of time. These players need time. And I do kind of get where he's coming from. But then you're right. That but then, like, for instance, Ogbonna's a prime example. So he said the other day, Moyes, that, we've rushed him back. We didn't really want to bring Ogbonna back. He's about a month away. He was one of our best performers on Thursday night. I thought he played really well. Didn't look unfit at all. And then you look at Zuma, who's starting every week, looks really out of fitness. So it is confusing. And you're right. Then you've got the Kira who's come in, started, looked great from straight away. He's slotted into the team well. And Scamacca the other night was amazing. I thought if he doesn't start Sunday, I'll be really surprised and quite angry, to be honest, if he doesn't, because we've got to win this game, and you've got a player that's clearly on form, and he's riding a high from his performance and goal on Thursday.
Well, he scored a third of our goals, mate, this season.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, you're right. He has, and for me, I think you're right, mate. It's must win. There's no ifs or buts about it. By hook or by crook, we've just got to win that match. It doesn't have to be the best performance in the world. If it's a scrappy 1-0, I'll take it. I think anyone would. We've just got to get 3 points on the board and get going now. If we lose this match, we can't. We're talking effectively 12 points off the top of the Premier League table after 4 matches. You already can't. There's a month. That's a month of the season gone without a point. So. There's no excuses. We've got to win. We'll come back to the predictions in a minute, but I'm relatively confident. I think this is probably a good time to play Villa. They look really out of form. They don't. I've not been really impressed with them under Steven Gerrard, to be honest. Overall,
Do you think he's going to be the first one for the sack, Gerrard?
I don't know. I'd like to think they'll stick with him. I quite like Steven Gerrard. I thought he did a really good job at Rangers. I actually think he's a very good manager. I don't quite know why it's not working at Villa. Maybe it just needs a bit of time for it to happen. I hope they don't, press the button on it straight away. But football's a results business at the end of the day, isn't it? And they're in sort of similar form to us. I mean, they were really poor at the end of last season. They've been really quite poor at the start of the season. They need to turn it around quite fast. He's definitely under pressure. But there's no mistake. Moyes will be as well. If we lose Sunday, he's going to be under big pressure because especially the fact we've got Tottenham and Chelsea following. So this is a massive game. And also it leads us into the Spurs game, doesn't it? Because if we can get a decent result on Sunday and following the week we've just had as well in Europe, our tails will be very much up for Wednesday night. And I think then suddenly we've got a good opportunity to get our season really up and running. So it's crucial. Sunday's a crucial game for us. Got to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to start. I mean, with the amount of money that Moyes is spending this window, I don't think the board have any plans to kind of, sack him off. It'd be so strange if we spent maybe like 130 to 180 million in a window, and then because we weren't getting results for a couple of games, we just say, okay, we've got to sack you off because we might get relegated. That would just be the fact that we're even talking about Moyes potentially losing his job is such a weird thing, considering. Arsenal lost all 3 of their opening games last season, ended up in 5th place. Like, you can have a slow start, and they got loads of new signings too that season. Let's not forget, and they spent loads of money, and it's just going to take time to bed in. I'm not trying to justify these performances because they've been shocking, mate. We were both at the Brighton game, and honestly, probably the worst game I've ever seen us play in. Probably even we're talking Pellegrini era bad. At the London Stadium.
It just lacks energy as well, didn't it? We look lethargic. I don't know what's kind of going on there.
Even Rice. Even Rice looked pretty poor, to be honest, and that's something you never say about a player like Rice. But it just kind of looked like no one really cared that much. No one seemed to actually. There was just no passion about it, And I know it's only Brighton, but we're passionate about beating Brighton. It's been 11 games. You would have thought, you know what? Let's just end the curse right now, and let's just let's give the West Ham fans something to shout about. I mean, surely they know how much. How much annoyance we get from not being able to beat Brighton. Surely that gives them that tiny little extra gauge to be like, you know what, let's just win this one for the fans today.
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised by it, especially after the start, because I thought we played really well at the beginning. We looked really up for it, and I thought we were the better team by quite a way. Stupid from Zuma. I think he was really at fault for that goal. I know that Kira gave away the penalty, but it was a bit of a poor challenge. Because he didn't really need to make the challenge. I don't know why he did it. But at the same time, I don't know really what Zuma was doing. For an experienced player, why would you...
He's not even a ball-playing centre-back. I don't know why he's going on his Larrys.
I don't understand what he was doing. It was a bit of a naive performance. And Brighton are just so well organised. And let's be honest, Potter's got Moyes' number. He just seems to know how to handle it. And every time we made a change, he dealt with it immediately. He adjusted his team straight away. And we just couldn't... It just was a really bad day at the office overall. I don't really want to dwell on it too much because I think since then we played really well on Thursday night, and I thought that was a really professional, solid performance. We never looked for a moment like we were going to be in any trouble. Considering the fact that's away from home in Europe, all right, they might not be a side that's a sort of Premier League standard side, but still, that they're probably a Championship level side realistically, and we dealt with them very, very well. To go there and win 3-0 away from home abroad, I thought it was great, and we just got to carry that into the league now. I think actually it might do us a favour this weekend, being away from the pressures of the home crowd and things like that. The fans has been. I think we just got to get a job done, and the fact it's it's not being shown on telly might help us a little bit as well. I know it sounds a bit silly, but it may play into our favour. It's not going to be overly looked at too much. We can just we've just got to go there and just get the job done, haven't we? Put in a really sort of solid performance.
So what lineup are we going with then? What lineup is going to get the job done?
I think Ben Rama will start over Cornet. I think that's always... I think Ben Rama deserves that. He's been really good. I thought he was great again on Thursday. I think he's probably been our best player so far of the season.
Can't play him in 10 instead?
And
then
I'd like to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing him give that, but I just don't know how he would suit a 10 role. He works so well off the wing, doesn't he? Going down and coming in. I don't know. I personally think... he'll probably play Lanzini or maybe Fornals behind the striker. And I really want the striker to be Scamacca. I really think he deserves a start now. He looks in good form. And he's one of those players, Scamacca, you get the feeling that if he gets like 1 or 2 chances a game, he's going to take both. He's like that kind of player. He's not going to need many. And let's be honest, it's a big step up, isn't he, from Antonio? And there's no disrespect for Antonio because he's a great player for us and he still is, and he's still got a massive part to play. But I don't know, Scamacca's just got that class. I mean, that goal he took on... Thursday was just proper striker's goal. His movement was exquisite and the finish was just brilliant. And I thought that's what we need. Antonio never would have scored that goal ever. He's not that type of player. I think that's how I would start. If that's your query, I think that's the kind of 2 question marks for me: Ben Rama and over Cornet for me.
Souček?
I don't think we've got another alternative really, unless they play Downs, but there's obviously some question marks over Downs and Moyes and what's going on there. My gut feeling says that Souček will play alongside Rice. I think he will do. I don't think it's going to be much changed. Obviously, the big question mark is as well is the defence in terms of left back. Will Emerson start over Cresswell? I know in Moyes, I would say no, but I'd quite like to see Emerson start as well. Get a bit of a fresh. I just think the team needs a little bit of a bit of freshening up, a bit of a fresh look to it. You've noticed it in the midweek. We just looked a better side, a little bit more life to it. I'd be really annoyed if we go back to exactly the same team we had against Brighton. It just we don't need that. But what do you reckon? Who do you reckon realistically is going to be starting on Sunday?
I do think Scamacca will start. I think Moyes has run out of excuses now. It's now or never, innit? You know, you've signed these players. You just got to chuck them in at the deep end. I don't think Cornet will start. I think he will go for. I don't know. I think he will probably go for Fornals, Benrahma, Bowen. I mean, Bowen's another one that you could easily drop for Cornet at the moment because he's just not been at his best.
No,
you know, I mean, you can't say that about anyone really. But even when we played last Thursday, I mean, I know he got his goal, but he didn't really look the classic Jarrod Bowen that we've seen so many times before. But I'd still stick Bowen on because we all know what you can do.
Yeah.
Souček will start. Rice will start. I mean, Rice is fresh as well, which would be good.
Yeah, agreed.
I wouldn't mind giving Emerson a chance at left back, but you know, as much as I don't really rate Cresswell that much, I don't think he's done all that bad this season. He's not made any major mistakes. He's not been great, but it's not like Souček where you single him out every single game and you can just see that he just doesn't belong in the side at the moment. You know, Cresswell for me just kind of he's one of them just flies under the radar. He's not great, but you know, I'm not calling for him to be like dropped urgently. And then probably Zuma and Tilo, and I'd probably go Johnson at right back because I don't think Soufal play very. I mean, in fact, I don't think Soufal can play this week because of the
I think he's
concussion precaution. I think is it? Or
yeah, I'm not. I need to check that out. I think that it's a 6-day turnaround, so I think he can play. Actually, I think it's a 6-day window. You're not allowed to perform it to play in a match, so I think that he will be available. And apparently he's fine. Like Moyes was saying, he's back in training. And he's been absolutely fine since. But it's just the rules that they can't because I think he actually was knocked out completely. So yeah, I think I don't see a much change side from the Brighton. Sadly, I would like to see Scamacca start, even if that's just the one change. I think that would be a good one for us. It's one of them games, West Ham. I just think we've got to be one solid at the back, no stupid mistakes. And I think just really just try and get as many balls in and crosses into Scamacca, get him involved as much as possible. We really need to win this game. And I think Rice needs it as well. I think Rice needs to lead the team to victory because there was a few question marks over him following the Brighton game. The comments from him and the sort of body language didn't look great and
very strange.
It was a bit strange. I think I don't think we need to read into it, to be honest, with the Rice thing. Now I've slept on it a fair bit. I think that the reality is, I think we just forget that he's young. He's a very young guy still. He's still realistically, a kid. He's only 20, 23, Rice? I mean, that's a very young age to be a captain of a side. And I think he just showed he's a bit of maturity in that sort of comment. He's obviously very annoyed at his performance, at the team's performance. He's been collared straight away by a camera to give his thoughts. I kind of understand that you're going to be in a bad mood and you're probably going to say, but realistically, he needs to learn from that. Sort of just take a deep breath, think, hang on, what am I saying here? Because realistically, he was calling out the fans there.
Yeah.
I mean, and calling out the fans for booing, we have every right to boo. We're paying money for tickets. We're not happy with the performance. We haven't even scored a goal yet, and we're 3 games into the season. This is supposed to be a team that's challenging for top 6/top 4 this season. Like we're already well behind. So for him to then sort of criticise the fans, and it was a bizarre statement, wasn't it? The Man City comparison, and we're not them, so why are we supposed to be winning games? Well, why are we here then? Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, if we'd played Liverpool, maybe you'd say fair enough. We've booed them off the pitch, losing 1-0 or 2-0 to Liverpool. You go, why are you booing? But we're playing Brighton. I mean, I expect us to be finished by Brighton this season, massively. So I don't agree with his comments, but I don't want to dwell on it too much. I don't think he deserves it. He probably, realistically, I think he probably regrets it. What he said, but. Because that was the bit they snipped out as well. If you look at the Rice interview, they kind of snipped that part out and made it the big statement. But if you actually listen to the whole interview, he actually was pretty decent. I think he was just a bit angry with the performance overall, and he just dealt with it badly. So, mate, we've got to put you on the spot now. Predictions. What do we reckon?
3-1 West Ham, mate.
3-1, yeah. Okay. I've predicted 2-0 West Ham. I've got a
Yeah.
feeling this is. I know I don't want to jinx it because I said this about the Brighton game. I thought we were going to put get a season up and running, but I genuinely do, and I think as well with the new arrivals coming in as well, I think there'll be a bit of a buzz around the club at the moment. And I think Rice actually did say it right after the game, and Moyes said it. He said it's simply a must-win game now. We've got to win at Villa Park, and I think the players will. I think they're just going to go right. There's no mucking around today. We've got to put in a very good performance and get a result. So, and let's be honest, if we do get a result, what a way to cap off a week.
Will Villa not be saying the same thing though? You know, like we were talking about us, the sort of like rallying together, but Villa at the same time they lost to Palace. They drew. No, they beat. Sorry, Everton, but.
They did,
anyone
yeah.
Everton at this stage.
That was a really poor game. That was.
It looked really poor, and Gerrard's getting a lot of pressure. Is he not going to say the same things to his players? Does it really make that much of a difference if you sit out there and say, "Guys, we need to win this game. We need to play really, really well"? Because I think every team is doing that.
True, but I think realistically, Riley, if you look at the quality of players on the pitch, we are far beyond Villa, and that's no disrespect to them, but I think they'd admit that, their fans. I think West Ham are a very, very good side.
I don't think their fans would admit that, actually, to be honest, mate.
No, possibly not.
I really don't.
Yeah. What am I saying? Sorry, that was a stupid comment. No, but I think you're right. But I genuinely think realistically, and most all right, let's strap that. Most football fans would say West Ham should be winning this game. If we play at our best, we'll beat Villa. I think there's no ifs or buts. Even if they play well, I think we'll beat them. So we just got to raise our game, and there's no excuses tomorrow. Just got to get the result. That's the result. Then that's what you're saying. Then 3-1. I'm saying 2-0. Fingers crossed, mate. Let's hope we get it done.
Here's hoping.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.